Hello, let's make our pivot table from the sales report that we have. I'm going to delete this row which we used in our previous video and create a pivot table. To create a pivot table, we are going to click anywhere in the range. We know that there is no empty column, empty rows in this particular range. We go to Insert tab on the main menu and click on pivot table icon over here. Table range is chosen. We know this is the correct range and we select choose where you want the pivot table to be in the new worksheet and click OK. Here is where we are going to make our pivot table, and this is the pivot table fields, which are nothing but the column headers. Now, the first field that you are going to select is the field around which you want to create your pivot table. So this being a sales analysis report, all our reports will be centered around the sales data. So the amount is going to be core field which will fall in this values place. So when I click on amount to select this field, it automatically is taken to the values zone by Excel. That is because it detects that this field is a value field and it has numbers in it. If you wish, you can change it to any particular zone by dragging it. We are going to leave it here. Here what you see is the total, grand total of the sales. Let's go to data sheet and I'm going to select the entire column here, and you see this total which matches with that total 17.856 million, and that's what it is here. Now let me undo this for a time being, and let's say if we click on sales executive, let's see what happens. It is taken to the rows area. That is because Excel detects that this field has text in it, so it cannot fall in values zone, and this is how it selects which field needs to go where. However, it's entirely up to you to put the field in a particular area as desired by you. So we have sales executive names in the rows column and sum of amounts, which is nothing but sum of sales here. If you see, the numbers are not properly formatted. So in order to format this number, what you will do is you will click on the drop down arrow of this particular field here and click on value field setting. So what does this have? It lets you select what you need to do with that data, whether you want to have sum of that data or count, average, and so on. We are going to use sum and we will change the number format. We will select as number and let's remove the decimal places, use the comma separator for thousands, and let's leave it at that. We will not use currency format here, and we'll click OK. There you see, now it looks much neater. Now let's add other fields to the pivot table areas, and we will put them in the filters area. At this point in time, don't worry about which field you are putting in rows or columns or filters, because you can always change it as required. The most important thing is to have the right field in the values area, and which is our sales amount. So let's try and put months number by clicking it and see what happens. When I click it, it goes to the values area because Excel detects it as a number, and this is not what we want. So we are going to undo this, and it is always better to drag these fields and put in the areas you want rather than just clicking it. So I'm going to drag month number and put in filters. Similarly for invoice, customer, location, brand, and product. So what we have here is all the fields are appearing on top as filterable fields except the sales executive field, which is in the row area, and the sales amount is in the values area. Now let's see how we can play around with this single field report itself. Let's say you want to find out what was the sale done in the month of 3 by all the sales executives. So here you have that particular report. So out of 17.8 million, 2.4 million was done in month of 3. You can further drill this down by location. So let's say out of this 2.4 million, how much was done from Mumbai, which was 1.14, and further down to a particular brand. Let's select a brand. Let's say we have Fujitsu, and Fujitsu was 143,000. So this is how you can play around with the pivot table report. And right now we have only one field which we are using in the pivot table report. We are yet to see the magic of this particular tool. Let's add more fields to this. But before doing that, we are going to clear our filtering. There are two ways to clear the filtering that was done in the fields over here. One, you manually go and clear the filter by selecting all, or you go to the Pivot Table Tools tab on the menu bar. In Analyze section, go to Clear and clear filters. There all the filters are cleared. Now when I clicked outside the pivot table report, you must have noticed that the pivot table fields dialog box has disappeared because that is in auto toggle mode. When you click inside the pivot table, it reappears. You can disable this by clicking this cross button over here. Now even after clicking inside the pivot table, that dialog box is not going to reappear. For that we have to go to pivot table analyze tab and enable it by clicking on fields list. So now we have it back. Let's add more fields into our pivot table report. We will add month in the column section. So now we have month wise, salesperson wise report. There are some blanks appearing here. Let me right click anywhere in the pivot table and refresh to make sure that no blank rows are being considered by Excel. So the blanks have disappeared. So here is the overall yearly report, salesperson wise and month wise. And this you can drill down further by filtering as we saw earlier. The other way of doing it is let me drop the location down here and I will put it on top of sales executive here. So here you see now the report is first you will see the report for Delhi and you will see the subtotal for Delhi for each month followed by Mumbai, which is alphabetically organized. So this is another way of having multiple fields within the pivot table. We have month in the columns area, we have location and sales executive in the rows area. So it's up to you how you want to see the report. You can do it with n number of combinations. In the following sections, we are going to see how we can analyze this particular sales report from different perspectives, from the sales executive's perspective, from sales manager's perspective, or from the product manager's perspective.